All right, let's go to the big screen where this week we saw Oz, the Great and Powerful. Everybody except Brian. He's saving his pennies. So, Justin, lead us off.
All right. Well, what's odd about this movie is going into it, I did not realize that this is technically not a prequel to MGM's The Wizard of Oz. Here's the situation for those who may not know. The Baum books, L. Frank Baum wrote a series of Oz books, and MGM purchased the rights to make a film, and they made The Wizard of Oz. Since then, the film rights for the Oz books has entered into what they call the public domain, meaning that anybody can make a film based on Oz, anybody can write a book, a comic book, video game, whatever you want. If it's Wizard of Oz, it's free, free reign. You can do what you want. The only thing you can't do is use MGM's version of The Wizard of Oz. If I had known that going in, I would have been really confused because there is a lot of imagery in this movie that is a huge nod to that original Wizard of Oz film. But no, the rest of you that know this will not be with the ruby slippers. This doesn't have anything really to do with MGM's movie. This is its own property, and whatever films they do going forward will not lead into MGM's iteration of it. So if there's any confusion out there, hopefully that will have cleared it up because I was a little confused.
Well, they can reference anything that's in the books. They can't reference anything.
Right, well, did I not just say that?
Well,
yes, they can reference the books, but they can't reference anything particular to MGM's film, like the ruby slippers. In the books, they were silver slippers, but when they made The Wizard of Oz, they felt like silver wasn't going to pop enough on the screen, and so they changed it to ruby slippers. But in the book, it's different. So if they're going to go to leading up to Dorothy, and if those slippers ever do show up, you will not see ruby. They will probably be silver or something like that. So anyway, there you go. But Oz the Great and Powerful, made by Disney, directed by Sam Raimi, starred James Franco, Mila Kunis, Rachel Weisz, Michelle Williams, Zach Braff, on and on. This is very much a kid's film. It is rated PG, though that said, there are a couple of moments where it's pretty intense for a PG kids movie. Mm-hmm. But the movie follows James Franco's Oscar, who is a stage magician, a bit of a charlatan, who gets in a balloon to escape some of his shenanigans. A tornado lifts him off. The next thing you know, he lands in Oz. He's met by Mila Kunis, who thinks that he is the wizard that's been prophesied to come and save the people and to become, king of the Emerald City. And of course, there much adventuring happens, some twists and turns. I don't want to spoil anything for those who may not know who the different witches are and what their ultimate ends are. But Aaron, you and I both saw this. What did you think about the film's storyline? Did you enjoy it? Because now, while this is based on Baum's work, this is actually its own story. Baum never wrote an Oz origin. He started with Dorothy and then moved forward with her. This is all before that, so this is all, made from scratch, so to speak. So what did you think of the story? Did you think it was a good way to start this potentially new franchise out?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the original. I don't hold it up to the immortal status like a lot of people, including my mother. I was worried making a prequel to something this revered was going to suffer no matter what, and I didn't see anything in the story that I couldn't get behind. I really liked their take on it. I thought they were really trying to create a brand new world, even though you've seen this world before. Make it current, make it modern, but still keep it reminiscent of the film. Even though they can't do certain things, you could tell they were going for the feel of the film. And it's very, very happy. They even have like a quick little Munchkin song, which gets cut off pretty quickly, but I mean, that's definitely a nod to the film. So they try to do as much as they can. I like the story. I thought the fact Oz going back and then you find out exactly how he became this great wizard, that he's not really a great wizard, but you think he is, how that came to be. I like the take on that.
I agree, actually. I did enjoy it, and I think it was just enough quote-unquote backstory, if you will, because I know, like Justin mentioned, it's not directly tied to the original, but there was just enough information to make you feel like you were in the Land of Oz without hitting you over the head with it. There was just little nods here and there, little references, and actually some things that I think we might see in further films fleshed out a little bit more. That makes me kind of want to see some more. My question for you guys, though, is do you think this story would have stood on its own if the original film didn't exist? Do you think...
I did. I don't remember a lot of the original movie, so yeah, it's fine for me.
Because I'm in the boat of people that aren't like a huge fan or hold it in reverence like my wife does. My wife, it's like her favorite children's movie and refused to see this movie for that sheer fact because she doesn't want it to ruin her experience of that. Without that, I don't know. I don't know that I didn't want to go back to Oz that much. So I kind of went into it with that feeling, but it looked like a gorgeous movie. Like I said, I like the ties that it did. I just wasn't in love with the story as everybody else. So,
what do you guys think of the acting? A lot of people were talking about James Franco.
Well, I mean, I liked the story. The only thing there were a couple of things that were a bit rushed. The reveal of the Wicked Witch, I felt like could have used a little bit of a little more build up, but yet there were other areas where there was a little too much fat. It's a 2-hour film, and I think they probably could have cut 30 minutes from it and not be a detriment to the movie. So there were things they could have taken away and things that they could have added. But all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think James Franco is done a disservice in the trailers because there are some moments of acting in those trailers that look really campy and a little cheesy. But when you see it in the context of the film, they make a lot more sense. I mean, the whole thing about I don't want to be a good man, I want to be a great man. Well, in the trailer, that looks a little hokey. But in the movie, it makes sense, and there's reason for what he's saying, and there's more context to it. So it makes a lot more sense. I enjoyed it. I thought, everybody involved did a good job. I think actually Michelle Williams was surprisingly my favorite performance in the movie. Her Glinda Goodwitch
Me too.
Is fantastic.
I fell in love with her every time she's on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll marry you right now.
Seriously, she was perfect for that role.
She was just perfect. I'm like, now I know why Heath Ledger stuck around. I got it. James Franco, I'm really kind of pissed about. Everybody keeps talking about Robert Downey Jr. because he was originally offered the role and turned it down.
He was too old for this.
I agree with that. But even if he would have been cast, I keep hearing how, he would have been better. Maybe. He's got a lot more charm and he's a different kind of actor, but that doesn't mean Franco was bad. I thought he was good. I really don't get all the flack that he's getting. I don't think he looked stoned the whole time. I think he played the character as it was written. And I thought he did a fine job. There's a couple cheesy moments, but I think Raimi was going for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's a fairy tale.
I think he hit every beat he was supposed to. Michelle Williams, perfect. Rachel Weisz nails her part. The only thing that I thought was really miscast was Mila Kunis. Normally I adore, but neither here nor there. It didn't detract from the film at all.
Right.
Yeah, Mila Kunis, I think I was too distracted by, and I hate to say it, but how good looking she was. It was almost distracting. Now Michelle Williams was beautiful, and in that gown she looked fantastic, but it was really her performance that pulled you in the most. With Mila, it was maybe the tight pants or something that were doing it. She didn't seem nearly as believable, though, as Rachel and Michelle were. So I can agree with you there. But the voice acting in this movie really kind of surprised me. I thought Zach Braff did a good job with the voice of the flying monkey butler type character he was playing. And then Joey King, who is a young woman who plays a girl earlier in the film, in the black and white opening section, who can't walk, and then later voices the porcelain doll character that we've seen in the trailers. She does a fantastic job of lending that character a softness and a fragility in the voice, but also when it's needed, a real strength to it. I every time that little porcelain doll was on the screen, I was like, I want one. I want one. It is so sweet. It is so cute. I want one of those.
Chinatown was my favorite performance, probably, in the whole movie.
It really was sweet.
Yeah, she was good. Now, what about the production value? I mean, this film had almost as much CG in it as any Pixar movie. Were you guys at all ever distracted by it? Did you notice it much? What did you think of the look of it?
I'm actually torn on the production of this film because there are scenes in it that I thought really made me believe like Oz was a real place, like I was really there. The China doll, in particular, we just talked about that, was the most incredible thing I've seen on film in a long time. It looked. Was that CG? It had to be CG, right? It looked.
I don't know any China dolls that talk, so yeah, I would guess.
But I mean, it could have been like It looked like it was a live piece of china, and then they had the little cracks in it, and it was shiny, and it looked like it could have been alive
every time it walked.
It was incredible. That I thought was amazing, and then you had certain animation sequences that I just felt very distracted by, and it might have been the 3D. I don't know because I saw it in IMAX 3D, like when they were riding around in bubbles. And the way that it moved, it would jerk around, and that just made me feel like, yeah, I'm watching the special effects. I'm watching CGI. Maybe you disagree with me, but
I do. I love Sam Raimi, and I'll be the first to admit it. And I thought Drag Me to Hell was a little weak. I've seen a couple of his movies I didn't think were fantastic, but those that give him shit can kiss my ass. I'm not apologizing for loving his work. The man showcases a lot of his crazy shots in the movie, which you'll see when he's in the basket and everything's like shooting inside the basket. That's Sam Raimi. There's a couple scary parts that are totally Sam Raimi. Anything with the flying monkey, that's Sam frickin' Raimi. But the rest of the film, I think he handles magnificently. I think he does a wonderful job as a family film director and keeping the movie going. There's a couple slow spots. It's not perfect. But the special effects, fantastic. Direction, really good. I was very impressed. I felt like I was in Oz the whole time, and you know, I liked it. The 3D, by the way, the 3D, best 3D I've seen since Dread. So
yeah, especially in the black and white portion of the film where it's in that 4:3 kind of ratio. The side areas they were able to put some things into it to kind of do the bleed over effect that I thought were really well done. But yeah, I mean, if I had known that some of those places that they were in weren't sets, I never could have seen otherwise. They looked as real as could be. So all in all, I didn't find any of the CGI to take me out of the film at all. I thought it looked really good. But all in all, guys, you know, do you want to see this movie again? Are you looking forward to the next Oz movie to see what further adventures are in store, or do you not? You know, are you just not interested in it? Scotty, what did you think overall?
To be perfectly honest, I found myself a little disappointed. But to be fair to the movie, I think a lot of that was because I was never that interested in the original film, and it's hard to go into a movie that is so related to another property to not relate it to that.
That's fair.
The story was well put together in terms of kind of going back to its roots a little bit, and the third act was really enjoyable. I seriously enjoyed the last portion of that movie, but the build up just took too long for me. And although the visuals were gorgeous, they took me out of the world too often for me to buy into it. Still, I gave it a 650.
I thought beautiful world, sweet performances. Mila Kunis is very miscast. Outside of that, special effects perfect. $10 full price. I give it 8.
I am much more in your camp on this one, Aaron. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait to see it again, and I do look forward to seeing another one. So I would probably give this a good 7.5. $7.50.